but I think I got introduced to you by somebody. If not, like I think maybe I asked Caroline or something, but we vaguely just kind of meet, like, hey, what's up, bro? How's it going? Uh, Really, we didn't have a long conversation, but that was the only time that we met. If I'm not, maybe another time too, but
Yeah.
it's super vague. But we follow each other on social media, and that's the extent of our relationship, bro. And then I just kind of just like watched some of your stuff, and then just kept in touch, and um, that was it. And I just wanted to, I was reaching out to you and just letting you know what was up, and you reached out to me for happy birthdays, and I that vice versa. But that was it.
Cool.
So we were reconnected, and um, the last time we met, I was an FA, and now we're an official marketing director. So
That's what's up. So congratulations to you guys, man. I wanted to know a little bit of your story too, how you guys, your background, just so we can keep it on record, like your background. So when I share with you guys and I edify you guys, you can only edify those that you know, right? So what's your background, like your professional
so
background?
so for me, born and raised in Hawaii, lived there all my life. I come from a background of music, so I'm a drummer. Play all types of instruments, but I mainly get hired to play drums and sing. That's how I actually met my wife, who just made it on here. So I've done music all my life, from the time I graduated all the way up until now. It took me all over the world. I got to go travel to Tahiti, New Zealand, any Polynesian island you can think of, I've been to. Um, and then I met my wife while I was on the road. I was actually on tour. Met her on tour. We connected. You know, um, we had kids 3 years in a row, just popping them out, right? So the reason why I moved up to the mainland is that she got a job at Netflix. So she's from San Jose. She got a job at Netflix in LA. I moved from Hawaii up to LA, and we started our family there. I still did music. She did Netflix. She was getting paid well. Um, I just did music. But then at the end of the day, we had our kids one year after another. I needed to find something else that was more stable. Friend of mine, KP, sat me down, introduced me to the company. I just We went for it, and we've been in the company for about a year and a half. So she has an IT background. I have a background in just music. So just your island boy who likes to jam at the bars at one point in time, and that was my survival. That was the way I made money. And then we went to our first big event in February, and then stayed in the game. Got coached by our mentors. Hit FA in July. Hit director in May. Hit marketing director in June of this year. So it's exciting stuff for us. With our business is growing, but that's kind of like our background.
Awesome, awesome. What instruments do you play?
Man, you name it, I got it, bro. The
Every
main instrument, the main instrument is my voice of an angel. I'm just kidding. It's drums.
I love it. I love it. All right, cool, man. Well, I'll share a little bit of, so you guys know my story behind it all, right? But um, did you want to share too, your story?
Oh
Yeah, let's
yeah.
put it on record because I'm recording this, by the way. Yeah, let's put that on record.
I text him, hey, we're live on YouTube. So my story, I'm an engineer by trade, engineer at the age of for over 20 years. So I started my first company in Silicon Valley at the age of 19. I was blessed to get into the industry of technology. I worked for several different companies in Silicon Valley, from eBay to Yahoo to Cisco, and then blessed to get transferred over to and relocated our family over to LA for a job with Netflix, as Rev was saying. And so IT is my element, of course, but life happens. I have an autoimmune disorder, so it's prevented me from being able to work a long-term job, and have to answer to somebody else, being in and out of the hospital quite often. So when we were introduced to PHP, it was definitely a blessing in disguise for us, because it allows us to work for ourselves and not have to answer to somebody, especially if I'm sick. It became like a broken record when I was in the hospital often. So that's my story.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for sharing, guys. Share a little bit about who I am, how I, you know, how I landed on PHP. But um, I wanted to let you guys know, man, that for me, this is like I think of this like long term. I want to retire from this industry, just because it kind of merges in with my story with my mom. But I'll share with you guys real quick. So I grew up with a single mother, right? And I wanted to be an architect. That was like my dream. Um, my background has been in military. So I joined the Marine Corps at age 17. My mom had to sign the waiver. And it was simply because I didn't want her to pay for my college education. She already had like 2 jobs. And I'm like, no, at around 16, 17, I started thinking about, you know what, I'm going to retire my mom. Like, I want to be rich just to retire my mom. And it's funny because she's like really afraid, and she still signs the paperwork. And then I joined the Marine Corps, and then 3 months later, we're shipped out to Iraq. So I fought in the war in Iraq in 2004. So joined late 2003. By 2004, we're fighting the war in Iraq. So it's scary, but you know, it made me the person that I am today. Build up the character, and you know, moved up in the military very quickly. Loved the Marine Corps, loved it. I would have done 20 years if it was just for me, but you know, my kid, my wife at that time, it was so difficult to really carry on with that relationship. But 2006, we're back at it again, back in the war in Iraq during election time, and it was a lot of fun and a lot of good experiences, a lot of bad experiences, but you live and you learn from both. And then I want to get out because my family, number one, and then retire my mom. I want to carry on with that plan, right? And I start studying for my real estate exam, my whole license for real estate, and I get out, and it's late 2007. The economy is kind of shaky. In 2008, the economy collapses. And I'm like, what am I going to do? So I had to change my game plan around, because now I have a license to sell real estate. But, you know, I wanted to sell like $1 million homes and things like that. And it wasn't happening. The economy had collapsed nationwide. So I'm on Google researching the hardest hit cities in America. And it just so happens to be Las Vegas. So I made a quick move, and I tweaked my game plan around, moved to Las Vegas. And here I started investing in real estate. My very first flip. So I've been flipping real estate for almost 12 years now. My very first flip, I bought it for 27,000, and I made 60 grand on it. And forever, I was like hooked. I was hooked on that just because I'm like, man, I can really retire my mom now, right? And sad to say, man, in 2009, when my baby sister was born, you know, we're rocking and rolling, and my mother passes away from complications to giving birth to my baby sister. And it transforms everything, man. It was like the worst news you could ever get. And from there on, man, it just like, it was so hard. Only God gave us that strength, you know, to carry on. But I have 3 sisters, so my reason why is that I have 3 kids and I have 3 sisters to take care of, you know, because they're basically, they are, you know, they are all I have, and vice versa. So that's like my immediate family right there. So from there on, man, you know, moved to Las Vegas. A few years later, the economy comes back up, and then we start a mortgage company. I've been running the mortgage company for about, you know, 10 years around there. And 3 years back from today, I met Curtis and Spring Eatman. And, you know, I was like, if you're not talking to me about real estate, I don't want to hear it. I just don't want to hear it. And, you know, he gives me a few books to read. And he basically tells me, you know, you can pioneer a whole state. You can pioneer Las Vegas. There's nothing out here. So I took on the challenge, and, you know, now we have 3 offices out here. We've also expanded into Puerto Rico, and we promoted a few marketing directors. And I just love the whole crusade. For me, it's, you know, it's about breaking the curse of poverty from our communities. It's about giving people that opportunity of free enterprise. And in my head, I was like, I didn't get it, but now that I get it, it's in my heart, and it connects straight with, you know, I'm a beneficiary of the products that we offer. But in my head, I was like, we can merge 2 industries together. Boom. Real estate, I already had a whole bunch of clients, over 4,000 clients here in Las Vegas. We can merge those clients together. now my clients are not going to call me just to buy a house or to refinance, but rather to, help them build their financial home. And what that means is, they're going to call me when they get married, when they have a child for college funding. They're going to call me for their retirement. And it's all well connected. But this is my main focus now, is building out agencies, popping out MDs. You guys are actually, in one way, my fifth MD that we promote out here. So very, very proud of what you guys are doing, because you guys are connecting in some way or another to the legacy that we want to create here. And I want to keep popping out MDs. That's my ultimate goal. But that's my story, guys. A little long, but we got it in there. I want to start with some training real quick, and I want to show you guys first, the number one thing that people struggle with is a schedule, right? Who do I work with, and then schedule. For you guys, what has been like the number one, I would say the number one challenge that you run into MD? What would you guys say? Number one challenge?
Number one challenge of running. Say that again. Sorry, Joe.
Running for MD. What would you guys say it is?
I think first was trying to establish with the family, because we have in the household, we have 4 kids. One of them is at the age of 21, and then it's just her mom and us 2. So establishing with the family that we're going to be gone from 8 o'clock in the morning to 2 o'clock in the morning. And that was the hardest part. We got that out of the way. They got used to that. And then it was just trying to be on top of, we're basically running everything. We don't have, I was told very recently that we should have had a BSc at an FA contract. We didn't. So we were running basically everything on our own.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah. So that would probably be the main thing. Just trying to make sure we can balance out the kids, which we know there wasn't any balance, and then trying to make sure we didn't like overload ourselves with a bunch of things, because we're getting fed field trainings after field trainings, fast starts, all of this. So just trying to make sure that we didn't overwhelm ourselves. It was probably the hardest thing.
Got you. So we'll talk about that, bro. This is what the expectation is today. I'm going to talk to you guys about a little bit of schedule, how to manage a proper schedule, accountability, who to work with. And then we're going to talk about the 7 departments that it takes to run a base shop, right? 7 departments to run a $1 million base shop. And then I was going to get the dice theory in there, but we'll do that later at a later training. But we're going to talk about that. Now, scheduling, let me go ahead and share my screen real quick. I just logged in with my iPad so I can do that. But have you guys ever questioned, like, who do I work with? Like, who's taking up my time, who's not, and who to really run with? So a lot of people, they get stuck running with the wrong people, and you're not challenging the right way. So this is a little formula. All I'm going to teach you guys is little formulas that can help you expedite your business and be a little bit more profitable and spend the right time with the right people. So let me go ahead and make myself a host here. All right, let me know when y'all can see my screen real quick. All right, you guys should be able to see my screen here.
Yep. All
right, cool. So this right here is breaking up the whole entire month. And I've been doing this for about 2 years. All right. And it's hard, guys, when you got to prepare before you pop out an MD, because it's hard. Like, I had to rebuild my base up like 4 different times, because when you pop out an MD, you lose like a strong leg. I don't know if that's going to happen to you guys, but you guys are probably losing a big leg, right?
Huge leg.
Okay, so you guys can relate. So check this out. This is the way that I kind of broke down the month, right? So there's 4 weeks here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is your whole month. So the first week, it's got to be more of a selfish week. I call it the moral authority week. Moral authority week. So remember my 2 philosophies that we went over. Number 1 is moral authority. You can't tell someone to do something you're not willing to do or you haven't done. It's just all boils down to leadership. And then the other philosophy is extreme ownership. where it's like, you have to be accountable for your own actions. People are always pointing fingers, but there's 3 pointing back, right? So Extreme Ownership is that book that I told you about, Rev. It's one of my favorite books. And that book talks about, what if everybody took extreme ownership? What if the book talks about there's no bad teams, there's only bad leaders, right? So if everybody on the team took extreme ownership and took accountability for themselves, and everybody will be at a level where they're not pointing fingers. It's all about extreme ownership. So accountability and Mamba mentality. Accountability meaning that there's no excuses and you're not blaming others for your mistakes, but you're learning from your mistakes. Mamba mentality means that you're always recreating yourself. What Kobe Bryant says is that it's an infinite mission. You will always be the best version of yourself if you're always in recreation mode. And that was like the biggest thing I got from him. So you break down the week into four, right? You break up the month into 4 weeks. So first week, it's moral authority week. This is week 1. And what that means is that you're putting up your personal numbers. You can't lead a team if you're not putting up your personal numbers. In essence, it's like you can't tell people, hey, go out and recruit where you're not recruiting or you're not putting in the work. You can't tell them, hey, go out there and get some points where you're not doing it. So if everybody the first week is focused on their personal numbers, you're able to identify who really wants it. Who wants it? So you put out a challenge, right? And then you're in week 1. As you work with your new people to get them promoted, and you're putting up personal numbers, because when you train, you put up personal numbers. They see you working, they see you out there in the field, and that gives you the respect, that gives you the moral authority to carry on and be able to lead your team. So week 1, it's personal, all personal. And you're identifying your stud. Identify a stud. The person that's calling you, the person that's saying, hey, coach, what do you need? Hey, coach, I'm running an appointment. Hey, this is where I'm at. And when you post something on like Band, or we use Band or GroupMe, they're the first to respond. That's the person you should be working with. And this is how it happens. Week number 2, I call it the stud week. Stud week. So now week 2, you've identified who you need to spend your time with. Why? Because they're going to be easy to duplicate. Now you're driving that person, because you should always have 2 people that are running, right? It's going to either be 1 person running or 2. Out of 10 people, only 2 are going to run, is the 80-20 rule, right? So you identify that stud. So now you're spending 90% of your time. It's 90% of your time. The second week, 90% of your time is spent with your stud. And your only goal is duplicate. So that way, every week, every month that goes by, you're duplicating leaders, right? You're duplicating new people that are speaking your language. So right here, it's your stud week. And then from there, then the third week is your tap rooting week. Tap rooting week. That stud that you duplicated on, now he goes on in the third week, he's running with his team, but you're identifying, if he's running for MD, now you're identifying your third week. This is week number 3. Week 3, you're identifying a leg under there that you can tap root. And if you want to do this very intentional, you should be running, when someone's running on your team for MD, you should be running 50% of a strong leg, because you're going to take that as an exchange leg, right? So you should earn that exchange leg. If you're running or they're running for MD, the tap rooting week, if you want to be intentional, you want to run with the exchange leg and identify it early enough so you can push it up. So you're doing 50% of the numbers on one leg, and they just worry about the other 50%. Something that I learned from Ricky Aguilar. Tap rooting, exchange leg, if you want to be intentional. And then the last week I call it just a closeout week. And this is like I just want to say week 4 is your chaos week, because you're helping out everybody. You're trying to close out everybody, all the points, and you're leaving all selfishness aside. You're helping out sidelines, uplines, downlines, whatever you want to call it. This is your chaos week. where you're closing out promotions, you're closing out people that are running for FAs or directors. In this game, it's as simple as promoting FAs. Like if you know how to promote FAs, then you know how to become a marketing director. So for me, there's 3 rules to become a marketing director: is know how to promote FAs, make money consistently, at least 5,000. If we put a dollar sign to it, 5,000 consistently, and know how to go wide, which is directs. So promote FAs, make money, and know how to do like one-on-one. Be strong on your one-on-one game so you can go wide. So this right here now becomes the way you run your schedule. I'm gonna take a little picture of this and then I'll send it to you guys. Because from here now you break down your day, right? So I'm gonna do this. That is how you kind of generally, set up your month. You know who you're gonna work with and who's gonna be your stud during that week. So now, any questions on that before we move on to the next thing, breaking up a day?
Nope, that makes sense.
Okay, cool. So check this out. The next thing, guys, breaking up. Now you're gonna break up a day, and is one day. One day, you're gonna break it up into 3. This is when you want to condense time frames. So I got this from the 12-week year. My bad, guys. Can you guys see the screen or no? No, kick me out.
Yeah.
Kick me out. 3, 2, 1. All right, y'all can see it now, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So day 1, you're gonna break it up into 3. So this is what mine looks like, and I have alarms set up for this. So when you're running for something, if you're running for MD and it requires 90 days, you can hit MD in 30 days if you run a schedule like this. And it's difficult because you're working like crazy hours, but your day starts, let's say for me, when I was running, 5 a.m. to 12 was day 1. And then my alarm will go off at 12 noon, and then I will break down my numbers. Okay, I ran 2 appointments during this time. I got 1 recruit, my base got 5 recruits, and that's how we were running. So 5 a.m. to 12 noon, that's day 1. So you're breaking one day into 3. Your second day is going to be from 12 noon to, let's just call it 12 noon to 5 p.m. And then this right here is where most of the magic happens right here. This is where you're running field trainings and all that, but this is day 2. And then day 3 starts from 5 p.m. I was working till like 11 p.m. and I'm pretty sure you guys can relate to that. You guys are working late too, right? So this is day 3. So what you're doing here is if you had a bad day, it don't matter. Day 1 was pretty bad. You still have 2 more days to make something happen. Now you're condensing time frames. And if you're teaching your people how to do this, now it's like, hey, you had a bad day. Let's see what you can do at day 2. And then at the end of the day, day 3 at 11 p.m., you do not go to sleep without closing out. A good CEO always knows his numbers, right? So Patrick always talks about that. Every day you should know where you're at. It's about accountability. If you don't know where you're at, it's like closing down your store and you don't know how much money, how much cash you brought in that day. You got to make sure that you close it out and keep your numbers at all times, know where you're at a day before. So this is turning one day into 3. And then the last thing about schedule is this. And this, I kind of made it up from all the books that we've read, but everything that we do as entrepreneurs is an appointment, even time with your kids. So what I'm doing right now is I'm color coding everything. Everything that I do is an appointment. So how does that look like? Let me go ahead and erase this. So what does that look like? Everything that we do is an appointment, and I color coded it into 3 colors. All right. So number one is red. Red time is personal time. If you want to have a good quality life, you gotta make sure you put this personal time, this red time. You gotta know and understand that you also have a family to run. And that should also be on your schedule as an appointment, spending time with your wife, spending time with my kids. For me, my kids are everything. So when I'm spending time with my girl or I'm spending time with my kids, I'm in the zone. Like Kobe Bryant talked about this, you got to live in the moment, or when you're with your kids, you're going to be thinking about business. When I'm with my kids, I'm fully focused for that hour, those 2 hours, I'm fully focused on my kids. And I basically put myself, I call my assistant, I say, hey, I'm going to be on red time for 1 hour, handle everything. Do not bother me. Why? You need that personal time. So red time is personal time. Now, number 2 is yellow time. Yellow time is when you're doing admin stuff, which eventually you will transfer over to your BSC. You guys I don't know if you guys have one right now, but the yellow time you can leverage, right? But yellow time is when you take care of like paperwork, apps. It's still important. You still got to do this stuff. And it's when you take care of like, I don't know, your bills, your work that you need to do, your study time. I put yellow time as reading a book or, handling something that needs to be handled with maybe like doing paperwork to promote your agents. This is yellow time, and you also got to schedule it. And then my favorite time here, it's green time. Green time is when you're in the zone. You're making money, so this is your money time. Any activity that brings you cash flow. Any activity that brings you cash flow. And if you color code this thing, you're going to know, you're going to have a predictable business. You're going to know where you're at all times. And on Sundays is pretty much when you kind of book out your whole entire week. But before you go to sleep, your schedule should be kind of done before the day is over for the next day. So, when you close out your business, you're also kind of projecting what's going to happen tomorrow. You're going to have a predictable business and your time. Time is our most valuable asset. Don't allow for someone to waste your time. So when you protect your time is when you really, instead of being busy, you can be productive, right? By knowing your schedule. But if you guys are not doing this, it's going to feel like people are controlling your time. People call you and you don't know how to say no. You're always there. Yes, always help your team, but also know that you have windows of green time. So when you have an assistant, green time, let's say from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. is green time, they can set appointments for you. That way you have a quality of life as you run a business. Other than that, people are going to control and take advantage of your time. And eventually, once you have leaders, guys, you can just match out everything. But it's all a step where you have to learn everything first. You have to learn all the departments so that way you can have the moral authority to lead every single department. So you guys are doing it right, but eventually you guys have to duplicate and you guys have to run a schedule, something like this. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. So now the next thing is a little formula, bro, that you got to have a conversation with your team on making money, and they gotta understand that this business can pay you, but you actually got to put in the work for it. Like you actually got to put in the work for it, because a lot of people are expecting to code up and then for $100,000 just to fall on their lap. It doesn't work that way. Like you got to put in the work, and you got to make sure that you show them what work they got to put in order for them to be successful. Because what I'm worried about is them doing the activity. What you guys should track is the numbers from the activity. They're going to have some results based on their standard of activity. So what we created is it's a little formula, and I'm going to show you guys. Let me go ahead and unshare here. I'm going to show you guys a little formula, and then what I'm going to do, bro, I'm going to send it to you guys so you guys can also use it for your base shop. So let me go ahead and unshare here. All right, so it's called Solve for X. Solve for X. So let me go ahead and You guys can see my screen, right? Oh, no, not
Not
yet.
yet.
Now you could. All right, solve for X. And this is gonna be like a little formula. It can also help you like like run a captain system and all that, but it's pretty sick, bro. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it for sure. Sheets. Solve for X. And you know how Rodolfo always talks about tracking your numbers with the 10-3-1 formula?
Mhm.
What Coach C4 did, he put it into like an Excel spreadsheet where it does it for you. And I'll show you how it works. And then also what should be on top of your desk. And then how do you determine how many hours you put into PHP? True hours of work, not just like, oh, I put in so much time, I'm working so hard. But the reality is that you're not being productive, you're just staying busy. So this is a formula that we created, right? And it might be look complicated, but the yellow is what you can change. The yellow is what if you change it, it'll give you, it's a formula that when you change the yellow, it'll give you the results that you're looking for. So the target, let's say that it's 12,000. This is what we did for the director run. The target production is 12,000. The deadline, it's 819. And let's just say that for us, every recruit equals 1,000 points. So what does that mean? Needed recruits to hit promotion is 12. So that means that we have to invite 120 invites, 36 people will show up, and 12 people will get started. So now we count how many BOMs we have until the deadline. And if it's 3, then that means that we need, on the captain system, we need 40. Every BOM, we need 40 invites. And then you got to calculate how many leaders do you have? How many leaders do you guys have? So if you have 5 leaders, Rev, then what's going to happen is that every leader needs to invite 8 to the BOM. Every leader, like, do you commit to inviting 8 people? If they say yes, then you have yourself 5 captains. And now 8 people that get invited by each captain, that's, the prospects that you need to hit. Yes, from the cost is 24. And then it's right here, per day activity. Leader invites for BOM. Yes, from cost is 8. And then how many prospects? 27. And that's how you're going to get to your promotion. I'll explain this later, but I just wanted to run it through, and then we'll make real examples later. But I wanted to show you guys this right here. This is what should be on top of your desk. How to do it. On your desk, if I have a clipboard with this stuff. So my clipboard has my top 25 in every single form that you see here. This is how I track my business. I'm a little old school, but I also do it in a digital format, but I always have paper with me. I always have a clipboard. Top 25s. You always got to have your top 25 in front of you, because when you get a referral, when you get a prospect from Facebook, always have a top 25. And then on top of your desk, you also have associate filters. Associate filters. That's how you track your people. That's how you're seeing who's responding to your leadership. Associate filters is a form that you can get on the back office. Let me ask you the question. Do you guys use associate filters?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So you're tracking where everybody's at. You're showing them love by guiding them, because everybody needs to be led. You're also tracking your next big event. So every BOM, you should be, filtering people. Do you have your big event ticket? Do you not? And then know who has it, know who doesn't. Captain's list. So we use it electronically, but always have a captain system up to date. So as you invite guests, they go straight into the captain's list. And then attendance. You know if you're growing or if you're not growing by how many associates are showing up and how many guests you have to every BOM. That's how you know that you're growing. And then this is my favorite part right here. Accountability to greatness. We got this from George Pelayo. So check this out. 25 prospects. This right here is the standard. The standard as running a full-time activity, right? For a whole week. So the standard is you got to have 25 new prospects, 250 calls, and then you got to have 10 recruited interviews. So a total of 20 appointments. When you break it down, it's 10 recruited interviews, 6 field trainings, and 4 fast starts. So this is the activity. Now we break it down into time. So activity, if you do 5 prospects, that's equivalent to 1 hour. Okay. If you do 25 calls, that's equivalent to 1 hour. And now you're putting a time of how much time you're spending based on the activity. So now right here where it says 10 recruiting interviews, every 1 recruiting interview is 1 hour. Every 1 field training is 1 hour. Fast start is a 1.5 hours that you put in. And then you measure yourself. You measure yourself here, the yellow, depending on how many prospects you had, it'll give you how much time you put into it. And then this example right here shows that the time that was put into for the week was 28 hours. So where would that person fall under? Where would that agent fall under? Some-timer, part-timer, full-timer, or professional?
Yep, part-timer.
Part-timer, based on the hours. So that's how you put a perspective on when someone is telling you, hey, I'm not getting any results. Okay, let's see how much time you really put into it. Because people will tell you, like, I put so much time in. Okay, what were you doing all that time? And then you kind of gauge it by this. So I'm going to share this with you guys. This is a result that should happen if you're following a criteria like this. The result should be 1 direct per week if you run a perfect week, 5,000 of personal points, and then 10 team recruits, 20,000 points as a team. And I think you guys are running perfect weeks, bro. But Patrick, this is what he's tracking. Did you run a perfect week? Do you guys think you ran a perfect week this last one? From Monday to Sunday, Monday to Sunday.
Yeah. I know this past week, our eyes were done. We're down. We were running hella fast starts though.
That's good.
But yeah, according to the perfect week, we didn't hit it this past week. But yeah, we track these numbers too. So I like it how everything's in one place though. This is super helpful.
Yep, I'll show you exactly how to use this, bro, because it's got to be based on the goal that you have, and then it'll spit out the numbers that you need. So we'll do that later, but let me share it with you guys right now. And all you're gonna do at the bottom is copy this and then open up a new. You know how to use Excel, right? What's the email you want me to send it to?
IMUA.
IMUA.
.php. I think it seems like, I don't know if that's, at gmail.com.
So you said
IMUA.php at gmail.com.
At gmail.com. Did I do it right? Yep. All right, you should have it. And it's called Solve for X tracking.
Got it.
And I'm gonna allow you to edit, so you should be good. And then we'll play with that later, just giving you an overview right now. So the last thing, bro, I'm gonna go over, then we'll kind of close it out with this, is the 7 departments to run a base shop. The 7 departments that it takes to run a base shop. And this is when you start giving people their identity. This is where you start figuring out who your BSC is gonna be. And you should have started at FA level. Like Matt and Sheena Sopala, they started their guys at FA director. They're already running with the BSC. And they're running a great cash flow. Like that's the kind of business that I would like to kind of mirror. But check this out. So what I'm going to do here is draw it out for you guys. And then you guys kind of tell me the names. But I'll ask you guys to see if you guys can identify the departments that it takes, right? So let me draw it out for you guys. Is the leg that you're giving up, is it here in Cali, or is it back in Hawaii?
It's in Cali. It's in Cali. Yeah. Well, that's where he's stationed out of Cali, but the whole team's all over there. All over the creation.
All over the nation. Well, virtual is like, it don't matter where they're at, right? It's like the same thing. 7 departments to run A bass shop. All right, so here it is, bro. This is you guys right here. And I don't like doing circles, so I like doing squares, but I'm gonna say MD, Rab. And how do you say your name? Is it Senia?
It's Senia, like I seen you before.
Okay, Senia, gotcha. So this is you guys as marketing directors, and it takes 7 departments to run a bass shop. Your first department here, what do you guys think that is? This is department number 1, and it takes 7. What do you guys think is the most important? Not the most important, but you know, every department is going to complement each other. But what does everybody tell you guys need when you're running for marketing director? As soon as you hit marketing director, what department is that?
BSC.
BSC. So have you guys identified a BSC?
We have 2 people that we're thinking about.
Okay, that's good, bro. I like the 2 people. Then you just make them compete to see who really wants it. So what are their names?
Right now it's Aaliyah, Lia, and Shauna. Oh no, Christina. Sorry,
Christina? Christina, okay. So good. At least you know who they are, bro. So this department has got to be someone that everybody likes and everybody respects. Now, this is your right hand. You should not be wasting time with like ordering President's Club shirts or doing all the admin stuff. She should be taking care of that. That's your department. That's your right hand. When you're not there, she's the eyes behind your back, right? So that's your BSC. What do you guys think is the next department that it takes to run a bass shop? This is number 2. You said it. What was it? Licensing? Licensing?
Yeah.
Okay, licensing. So number 2 is licensing. Now, who have you identified for your licensing department? This is super important. If you don't have this, bro, nothing's gonna retain. Like the agents are not getting licensed, not getting paid. Impossible to retain.
Shauna's helping in
that department.
She's helping in Carol and Diana's licensing. So
Oh, she's learning. Are you losing her to the exchange leg, or is she gonna stay with you?
Let's just say this: we didn't identify who would be our licensing.
Okay, cool. So number 3.
The first time I'm hearing all of this, so.
Yeah, well, this is so important, bro, because you got to give people an identity. It's like when you go to church and you don't serve, you're going to be there in and out. But when you serve, you actually feel part of something. And this is where you identify what people are passionate about, right? Some people might be passionate about doing paperwork. Some people might be passionate about sales and leadership development. They want a stage to be able to lead, to be able to, have a voice. So we'll talk about that department. But in order for everything to work, what do you guys think is the department that pays for everything? Sales and leadership development. This is my department. This is where I control this department. This is maybe, I don't know if you do like most of your trainings for your bass shop, but you put people, the right leaders to talk to your bass shop so that way they can get fed. Because you are the only, as a marketing director, you are the one that knows what your bass shop needs. So you get a speaker to speak to your bass shop about what's needed at that time, right? So this department is sales and leadership development. LD is for leadership development. So this is a department that I run, so I'm gonna put your name on here. And then every sales guy that enjoys sales or is a top producer, you put them to fall under this category. So now you give them the opportunity to train. So for you, Rev, I'm gonna put you right here. And then your top guys, you start putting them right here. Because these are your guys that you're gonna match out. These are your producers. These are the guys that are licensed. These are the guys that you can consider as certified field trainers. And then when it's their time, you put them on stage to train. But you only have the performers train, no one else, right? For moral authority. Now, number 4. What do you think is number 4, department number 4?
What's not production, right?
In a way, it is production, bro. I'm gonna call it the cash flow and placement department. Cash flow and placement department. So cash flow and placement. This is also like, it can be like customer service. Someone that's following up with every piece of business that's submitted. You got to make sure that you're tracking all this paperwork. So this right here is like, it could be started by the BSC, but the BSC has another role, bro. The BSC has a role to supervise every single department, a role to make sure that you're taken care of, that your schedule is, you know, intact, that she's protecting your time, or that BSC is protecting your time. So the placement department is someone that is so like technical about getting you paid, making sure that your clients are happy, making sure that all the applications that you submitted, that they get placed. A lot of people submit a lot of points, but not all those points get paid out. And that's the job of the cash flow and placement. So it's making sure that your cash flow is on point. So here, who would you guys, if you guys were to give identities to people in your base shop, who would you put here? Even though it's not accurate right now, they're not doing this, but who do you think would love this department?
See now.
Right now, that's something I'm kind of wearing all of the hats right now, as you know, we do have, you know, temporary BCs in place and who we're looking at, but I'm handling the cash flow and placement.
Okay, good. So I would have someone kind of shadow you right now so you can teach that, and everything that you do, it's training. So you're not having to train additional or spend additional time training people. Is while you're working, someone's shadowing you. While you're making a call to the carrier, you have someone listening. And they're gonna appreciate that. And it's not like you're paying for that, but you're gonna make sure that you train someone. And right now, that's how you give someone an identity. And they're gonna love the fact that they're learning. So, you know, you sell the dream, you cast a vision of, man, one day you're gonna, you know, if you don't move up, or there's people that just want to be staff. There's people that say, okay, you guys giving me an opportunity here. Not only can I run my business, but I can run this department for you. Cool. And then you incentivize that and cast a vision of where they can be one day when you guys are submitting, you know, 100,000 points, 200,000 points, and she's able to get a little bonus based off of the business that you're submitting. So have at least one or two people shadow you. All right. So number five, and there's two more left. So what do you guys think is number 5?
Shucks.
What was it?
I just said shucks. BSCs, licensing, sales, placement. I'm not sure.
We'll go with marketing, bro. Marketing. There's also a marketing department, and marketing has nothing to do with sales. Sales are closers, people that are looking at appointments, clients, and closing the deal. Marketing is the people driving the generation of leads. So your marketing department, you know, there's someone that's going to be in charge of basically generating, maybe driving posts, maybe driving Instagram, maybe figuring out a way that, you know, that everything that has to do with marketing and increasing the traffic that you guys bring to like BOMs and all of that, always generating new ideas for that, right? Running the system, but focus on the marketing sales of it, not the closing sales of it. So the generation of new business. Marketing department. This is number.
You have somebody specifically doing your own marketing for your team?
I do, bro, I drive most of it, but I do. So I've given identities for all of these departments, and through the years, like I've been in this game for 2.5, 3 years now. Most of the people that have been in charge of my departments have gone and become marketing directors. So it's always like training someone new. So right now I'm doing it, but I'm training 2 people how to do it. Right. So eventually they'll take over like all of the accounts, LinkedIn, Instagram. I'm doing most of it right now.
And are you getting them to eventually do your own accounts? Is that what it is?
Oh yeah. My LinkedIn, they already took over. They're doing that account already because they're really good at it. And now as a marketing, we call it a marketing director, but it's for the marketing campaigns that we do. We do different campaigns like next month we're doing college funding for kids, IUL for kids. So he's getting creative on doing posts targeting that certain market that we're looking for, right? And it's also like doing classes and teaching people on social media, teaching people on how to brand themselves as agents. So that if that's focused on that department where you're just supervising everything and you're giving ideas. So at the end of the month, when you close, you're hitting up all your departments and you're like, hey, how are we doing here? How are we doing here? And that's how you're pretty much everything. The perspective is now you're running a real operation. Now you're running a real base shop that there's goals set up every single month. There's goals set up, and ultimately, who doesn't want to run a million point base shop? So this is a structure to run a million point base shop. When you're doing it all, there's no way, bro. There's just not enough time for you to run a million point base shop. You need leaders, generals to back you up and to put up numbers, but also to protect your time so you can be guiding the base shop where it needs to go, right? So number 6, this is almost the last one. Number 6, what do you guys think it is? One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7. You can't think right now, but it's gonna make sense. The next one, guys, is a event planning. Event planning. Someone has to be everything we do on PHP, including like a BOM. It's like a little mini big event. So who handles like when you got to fly out? Who's looking for flights? If you're doing it, you're wasting a lot of time that you can be spending developing new leaders. So you're looking for, you're traveling to Texas. You're looking for some good rates. You're looking for some rooms where your people can stay when you get there. But that has to be done by the event planner. For us, we used to drive out to California all the time. So making sure that we rent a van for the whole team, that they collect, the plugins and all of that for that. That's done by an event planner. And this is someone that enjoys. I know I had a wedding planner, bro, that was handling this department, and she loved it, bro. That's all she wanted to do. So every event, even a BOM, the roles of a BOM, it's considered like planning for an event, right? So this is huge right here, event planner. Identify someone that's creative, man. Someone that's creative and always making sure that every event is a success. No matter how big or how small it is, it takes planning to do like even on Zoom, bro, like to invite the speakers to all that, making sure that event, it's top notch and that it brings value every single time that your guys are there. Because the minute you don't deliver value, people are going to start saying like, oh, this is repetitive. Everything is important. Every training, they got to have a mentality of, in every meeting, the meeting mentality is you're going to get something out of it. No matter how, who the speaker is, you're going to learn something from them. The minute they feel that they know it all, it's done. They're not going to grow anymore. And then the last department, it's so important. And I think one of you guys should at least start running it. But the last department, it starts with an F. What do you guys think it is? It starts with an F. Number 7.
Fun.
What is it?
Fun. I don't know.
Fortaleza? So F is your finance department, guys. Finance department is the creation of budgets for everything. Like maybe you're going to throw in 10% or whatever the base shop into like incentives or back into marketing, or you're going to purchase some flyers for the team or shirts for your president's club, or incentives for the team. This finance department needs to be on point on collecting plugins. You do not want to collect plugins where you can get into a situation with one of your agents. You should say this. And I learned this from my coach, and I've done this for everyone. It's like, I don't charge people money. I focus on developing you as a leader. My only job here is to make sure that I give you an environment and an example, not to collect rent from you. That has to be somebody else. Either, if you're leading everything, Rev, then your wife should be the one collecting it. it can be you or vice versa, or have somebody else that you really trust. Have somebody else that you really trust, because it could be a Venmo account, and you don't necessarily need to give her access to your Venmo account, but at least have her drive that department and talk about it. It cannot be you talking about it unless the plugins are not happening and you need to have a one-on-one conversation, a crucial conversation with that person. But this right here, if you really pay attention to this, bro, this is what it takes to scale a business and to run a true operation, to really, really focus on running a million point bass shop. And most of your people will fall under this category. Those people that are independent, those people that want to run for marketing director, those are your sales, and those are your leaders, those are your generals that are going to protect you. But when someone talks to you about licensing, say, hey, I would love to help you, but we have that resource available to you. Go hit up my licensing coordinator. Your time is focused on leadership development or whatever department you chose to lead. But I hope this makes sense, because this right here is everything, bro.
Yeah, it definitely does. It gives us some kind of structure to take a look at and make sure we have in place. I mean, there's some other questions that I can ask you later.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. Absolutely. So I wanted to end with this. It's 11:45, so I wanted you guys to get that, and then we can talk about other things, because there's a lot more to it. But this is kind of like the basics. What we went over is schedule, accountability, who to work with, and the 7 departments.